Well guys, we've done it again. Because you guys liked it so much, I decided to make another one. Hello everyone, Kevin from Hidden Hill Skills, and in today's video, we're gonna make this tib bar. I know we've already made a couple. We made the standard one, the Home Gym guys made, but this is a single leg version to mimic the ISO tib that the Home Gym guys just came out with. Now I know in my previous video, I made a wooden ISO tib bar, which I have right here. This is still by far the cheapest way to make a single foot tib bar. You do need to have a little bit of know-how around some power tools, comfortable cutting wood using a drill. If you don't have that expertise or you're not comfortable doing that, I have this version for you. And this is dead simple. It's about as easy as it gets. All you need to do is buy all the pieces I tell you and screw them in together. You do still have to drill a couple holes into some steel pipe here, maybe use a rasp to file it down and get it so it's not sharp. Also, these pieces of wood, you have to cut a hole in them, cut these to size, but this is dead simple, super easy, and I think most of you guys should be able to put this together. Now, the Home Gym guys have put out an amazing product for a very high price. This ISO tib bar will cost you between $60 and $80 most likely, whereas if you go and buy the ISO tib bar from the Home Gym guys, that's gonna cost you $300. So, this is by far the cheapest option, a less than $10 option. This will be the next most expensive option, about a $75 option. And then of course, if you wanna go buy the ISO tib bar, that'll be the most expensive option. So this is still my favorite, but I'm gonna show you guys how I made this and show you some improvements on the tib bar that I made in the past. Without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the improvement that I've made to the first tib bar from a previous video, which I'll link up above. If you take a closer look, you'll see that this section here of the middle of the tib bar is a little bit different. The most frequent question that I got about this tib bar was how do you connect the closed nipple with your long pipe to a single flange from either side. Some people had a little bit of an issue getting the threading to orient correctly and get it lined up. Other people weren't sure if that was strong enough, and I agree that that is the weakest point of this design. And so this is my improvement on that. Basically, instead of one flange, you get two flanges, and then you get some 1/4 inch nuts and bolts with some washers, and then connect them up through the 4 holes, and you're pretty much good to go. Then you can get each pipe threaded in all the way. And I'm gonna use that going forward in the new ISO tib bar. There is one other area of improvement that I would work into this design, which is wherever you have a joint that you don't want to rotate on you, put some Loctite or epoxy or super glue or something to keep that from rotating. What I noticed was at this T-junction is where those can rotate, and then on the bottom, at this T-junction is where those footrests can rotate. So those are the two spots where I've noticed a little bit of movement as I use the tib bar, especially if I load it up with a lot of weight. That is another improvement that you can add into this just by using a little bit of super glue, which I have some right here. You can use Loctite of different varieties. This is professional liquid super glue, which is just what I have on hand. The other way that you could probably improve the padding if this isn't quite enough for you, pool noodle. You could cut off some sections of the pool noodle instead, and that would give you a little bit more cushion. The nice thing about this is that the end caps can come right off, slide this on, cut it to the length, put on the end caps, and you're good to go. And that's about all I have for the first tib bar and the improvements that I made into that design. Next, let's get into the ISO tib bar build. So the first thing is I'm actually going to steal from the original design the 2 flanges and nuts and bolts. By the way, I've got 1/4 inch nuts and bolts here. The 1/4 inch bolts are 3/4 of an inch long, and they are perfect. They're flush with the nuts. But if you want to add a locking washer, then maybe go with 1 inch instead of 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to put this on at the end, and we'll build up to the point where we need this. To start off, you need to get all these pieces. I'm gonna tell you what all of them are. 1/2" elbows, you need 6 of these guys. 2 1/2" T's. Then on this last one, it's not a 1/2" T. It's actually 1/2" on 2 of the sides and 3/4 inch on one side. So it's a 3/4 to 1/2" reducer, they call it, which is perfect for us because we need to convert to 3/4 inch so that we can install the old shaft. We get 2 4.5" pieces, 2 3.5" pieces, 2 2.5" pieces, 2 1.5" pieces, and 2 closed nipples, all in 1/2" sizes. And then the final piece, 1 closed nipple, 3/4 inch. Or if you stole it from your old tib bar, then you don't need this 3/4 inch closed nipple. Let's put it together. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the 1.5" pieces, 2 elbows, and the 3/4 inch to 1/2" reducer. You're gonna put all these together, 1.5" pieces of pipe go into an elbow and one side of the T. You wanna get it so that the elbow and the T point in opposite directions of each other. And of course, if you're gonna use Loctite at this point, make sure you do that to all the joints, I would say. Now that we have this part, let's take the 2.5" pieces. This part is done. We can set this off to the side. Take all 4 elbows, make a square with it. Take your T's, and those go in the middle of 2 of the sides. Then take your 1/2" closed nipples. Those go on one side of the T. Take the 3.5" pieces of pipe, and those go on the other side of the T's. Take your 4.5" pieces of pipe, and those go on the ends. This is what we need to put together. Okay. Oh yeah, one thing I would recommend, maybe wipe off your pieces before you start handling them. You want to insert the pipe all the way on one side, and then do the opposing piece of pipe as well. And then you're gonna insert these into the other side all at once, loosening it from this side and connecting it into that side. So they're gonna be inserted halfway on both sides. So these are a little bit loose, but we've made a complete square. Now this should hopefully line up with the T's down there. It's the same sort of strategy. Tighten these guys up quite a bit. And then when you're ready, unscrew from up here while simultaneously getting them threaded in down below. So I would recommend some sort of epoxy or glue that's a little bit more slow setting, so that you have the time to go through that, get it into position, and then it can harden and solidify in place right here. There's that. And then the final piece, the closed nipple for 3/4 inch. And then we take our old assembly from the original tib bar and thread that on. All right, there we go. Ah, we need the pad. See, you're gonna wanna have this guy all set in glue or epoxy so that it won't tip on you like that. I tried undoing this already, but with the pool noodle on there, it kind of gets in the way. So what I'm gonna end up doing is put the pool noodle on by making a cut in it, and then if I want to, I can use some super glue or tape or something to close up the gap that's in the pool noodle, or I can leave it as is. All right, so I've got my pool noodle with the cut in it, and you just slide it on. then you should have an IsoTib bar for 75 bucks that, to me, is just as strong as the IsoTib bar that the Home Gym guys made. But again, if you want the cheapest, use this guy. So, there you have it. That is the IsoTib bar part 2, version 2, Rev 2. You got your wood version, you've got your metal version with the pipes, and you have the IsoTib bar that you can get from the Home Gym guys. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.